All right, welcome. You should be able to see me. I'm going to not use webcam for most of these, but I thought it'd be helpful for this first one. So let's start at the beginning. Great. So this is a status report for you and for anyone I might report to if they're curious, but most of the information here for you. This is on week 1 of 289 for 2022. Nice typo there. All right, so expected delivery, you've got 4 weeks essentially to deliver your product pitch. It looks like it's going to be the 7th through the 14th in order to make sure we have time for all of them. What's the progress? Well, we finished our orientation. That was fun. We got 21 to 23 responses today, Tuesday, so that's good. Our biggest risk here, I have not done a formal SWOT analysis, although I do mention risks and benefits. So we'll look at a formal SWOT later, but you'll have to do one of those. So my main thing is to lead with the risk, which is 4 weeks is pretty aggressive. Okay, so we've got a new format for the class this year. So to some extent, I want to be able to justify that to anyone I report to. And so this talks about that a little bit. The actual functionality is basically the same. We're just adding in additional features here, right? So you got 4 weeks to do the pitch, and the products are due at the end of the semester. And you're working in C#, Java, or Python, which is what we always did before. It's just that sometimes, in this case, you may be working in larger groups on multiple products. Okay. In the past, let's say I pick a group of 2 people and they don't get along. I could see how that could come across as my fault, or at least an error that perhaps I could have avoided. And that's not my job to decide who gets along. So here's the idea. So if you're in a group of 6 to 8 people, if 2 of you really don't get along, just get assigned to different projects and manage to not interact a lot. Again, what I'm saying is it's most things are going to be your problem, not my problem. I'm half joking there, but you get the idea. In a real world environment, if you don't get along with someone, the option is either to cope or quit. So I think cope's a pretty strong thing to practice. You'll notice as I show you job titles, I used real world job titles from actual applications, actual positions that are openings rather. And they don't make a lot of sense sometimes. What's the difference between a software developer, software engineer? What makes them senior? So I left that ambiguity in order to kind of see how people responded. All right, here's what we're looking at for responses. So we see mostly even. We've got a few fewer people in C# than the other groups. That's not going to be a problem. We'll look at how the exact numbers break down, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. All right, this was very interesting. So I do have respect for the one person who said, yeah, I'll be CTO. We got one CEO, 2 CTOs. So we'll talk about that later. Remember, that's mostly an admin position where in addition to whatever else you're doing, you're helping organize things. But some of these numbers are great. They're going to work really, really well, which means you're probably going to get your positions. We're going to need 3 people for marketing. So one team maybe will have 2 people co-share that. For project lead, we have 3 groups, so 3 teams, and they each have 2 projects. So I have 6 project leads. Perfect. With our developers here, you can see that it's pretty spread. And I think it's interesting when you think about what's a senior software developer versus a software engineer. You're going to essentially have the same responsibilities. But this kind of thing will go on the org chart. We've got a web developer, we've got 2 QA engineers, so they may not be in the same group. We want to have 1 per group ideally. And then I got 4 for Scrum Master and Build Master, so those may be organized together. The general idea of the person who behind the scenes has to make sure all the software side is actually working and that nobody broke the build, which is fun times. Okay, so as I said, if I was going to do a formal SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and T, which I'd have to look up, sorry. I want to look at risks. So first thing here is, I changed the class. Are we going to lose retention? So the idea here was, okay, yeah, we're doing a bit of a role play, but it's mostly a framing story in order to sort of put what I need you to do in perspective. When you have a job title that says X, Y, Z is due, these are your responsibilities. You don't get formal assignments telling you to do those things. You just have to do them. So we'll figure out how that's going to work. The other was bigger groups, right? So when we get to groups that are like 5 or 6, it's been a little unwieldy sometimes. Again, the mitigation here is, well, we're going to have multiple teams eventually, but early on, weeks 2 to 4, I'm available for consult, and we'll figure out times, whether it's in any of my office hours or remotely, that I can help you organize your groups to get to that week 4 pitch faster. Okay, formal dates, since I didn't use formal dates in the previous presentation. So by the 17th, you're going to, for certain, be in a startup and have 1 or more job titles, your responsibilities. 4 weeks out, 4 to 5 weeks out, I'm going to give a little leverage here. It's probably 2/7 to 2/14. You're going to all do your initial pitches. Around the end of March, we're going to do the technical presentation. Again, that's whatever technology is your competitive advantage that we didn't teach you, that you've learned on your own, and you're going to teach it to other people. And then the final weeks at the beginning of May, we do all our presentations, and then we all launch. So conceivably, you might have a pitch due the week before you actually launch, in which case you're going to make sure your late beta is in good shape to present. Okay, so what's next for the class? I'm going to be giving you your group placement and your responsibilities. So you should immediately coordinate on Discord, on Blackboard, whatever you want to do, in order to start talking about what's our next step. Okay, your next assignment, which is not listed yet, but will probably be due week 3, is your initial corporate report. So you're going to show me an org chart, pretty straightforward, and this sort of, I think, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There you go. That's what SWOT is. And then, of course, assignment 3 is week 4 to 5, your pitch presentations. So roughly speaking, you're going to have an assignment every 2 weeks. Since you can't have anything turned in late, this means we will probably have a mid-week report to make sure you're not getting 14-dayed. But I'll tell you, not getting 14-dayed is your responsibility. You need to make sure you're submitting whatever's due every 14 days and not late. Okay, so what do I got to do next? I'm going to make sure you guys are meeting and actually communicating, whether it's online or face-to-face, doesn't matter to me. I'm going to help you go over some product ideas. I recommend you try to come up with like 5 or 6 pretty bad product ideas as a joke to kind of get started, warmed up, and then we tease out kernels of truth out of those to find maybe 2 or 3 ideas that might work. And then finally, I want to make sure everybody's actually got stuff to do. I'm not concerned so much about people shirking as I am when you have 8 people, it's easy to kind of slip through the cracks. So once we get things divided up into smaller sub-teams, I'm not going to say committees. That hurts me to say committees, but we'll say sub-teams. We'll be good. Okay, that's it for now. So thank you very much. And I'm going to end this here.